For those still learning, this is SHARASH IBAR or Hebrew roots. And this exercise is helping us reconnect to our Father. So those still learning, we start on the right side. That picture that looks like an E on its back, that's Shah. 2 front teeth together. 2 front teeth gives us the Shah sound. Head of a man gives us the Ra sound. So that's first 3 characters is SHARASH. Second word begins with the I. You just pronounce that I. Then you got the 10th house or the 10th floor plan, gives us the Ba sound. And then you got the head of a man again, gives us the Ra sound, IBAR. That's who we really are, family. Hebrew is an adulteration. The Hebrew text had said hi IBAR, the IBAR, talking about Abraham. But the pagans put the hi IBAR together as Hebrew. So we're really Ibaryum. We're the Ibaryum, those who continue in the house of the Most High. So SHARASH IBAR is Hebrew roots in the pagan tongue. So family, take a few seconds. I apologize. I see now that the colors I used the wrong colors. I tried to make some pops. So I apologize that the colors are not popping. But these are 2 different words. Start the top and run the bottom and see what you come up with.
Long word today, huh?
But that's what people say that they don't. The other ones don't have. I think I told you that too. My research. Shouldn't tell you the book. I said it wrong in that. Yeah, I just let it slide. It's funny. They rhyme.
Nothing was being said. Well, before. Who was?
He was, but I always text him like, it's actually this. Try to help, but yeah, I said Jay Ryan. I knew what you were saying.
Y'all done? Y'all all Israelites now. Nah. Y'all all Israelites. That song you heard was our very own Zamaria. That is Soul Cry single. It's available now on all streaming platforms. I just got Apple Music going, so I got on Apple Music. He will be at the Fall Festival. You can come enjoy the whole album with us, October 6th through the 9th over in Archdale. That's Soul Cry by Brother Zamaria. So we all done? Mel, we need some more time? Look at these Israelites. All right, so what did y'all come up with for this? Rawach HaKadosh, all praise. Get the Most High hand clap. Hallelujah. Man, hallelujah. So I heard, I'm being honest, we all family. I got kind of upset with y'all because last week when the riot was breaking down that word for you, neither one of y'all had mics, so I'm listening to it, and soon we heard what you asked, but soon he started explaining, the volume went out because y'all didn't have mics. I'm like, now I gotta do all this editing. So I said, you know what, we're gonna do it for this week. That's why I asked for y'all to have mics. Even the brothers with deep voices, just because you got that deep baritone voice, it's hard for this little mic to pick y'all up. That's why I asked for y'all to get mic, because we're not only feeding ourselves, there's other people who's watching and y'all sharing the classes. So we're trying to edify all the body. So when Nariah gave you that breakdown, sis, nothing he said got recorded. So I says, you know what, we're gonna have
online though, right? He was online.
He was here. He was here.
Oh,
Yeah, he was here last week.
okay.
Yeah, so because he was having a private conversation. Like, brother, you gotta edify the whole body.
Salakia Marah, I was online. I was on my way to the buyout, but I wasn't there yet. I was online when I said it.
He's talking about the second part. The second time.
Yeah, you made it. You made it to the buyout. You were sitting next to Sister Corinne, and she asked you about to give you the. Well, she asked the whole family for the breakdown of Rawak, and you was
okay.
He's thinking about the wad, because that's what I was thinking. He did the wad online.
Oh yeah, okay, no, not the wild. When you broke down Rawak for her, you was here. You was sitting right next to her.
Okay, yeah, con. Well, that's all right, cause I'm waiting for this one too. Go ahead.
Well, no, I wanted you, since you was giving her the breakdown and the people couldn't hear you, go ahead and give the breakdown how you process. So if you didn't hear, the word up top is Rawak. The word down at the bottom is Ha-Kadash. Rawak Ha-Kadash. If you grew up in the church like most of us, this is what they were trying to say, Holy Spirit. Holy Spirit. So Nariah, go ahead. You sound good and crisp. Give your breakdown that you gave last week.
Okay, so I have to include the word Torah or instruction or law. Is that okay?
It's fine. Yeah, it's fine.
Okay, so in order to receive the Rawak or spirit, we first have to accept the Torah, the law. So, of course, we know Torah is the Ta, the mark or seal, the Ra, the head of a man or the chief, and the Ha, which is the spirit. So when we look at the law or the instruction, it is the mark or sign of Yah's spirit. So in order to receive the Rawak, the spirit, we have to first do what the Most High tells us to do. And by us doing that, we start functioning in his image and likeness, what he did when he created Father Adam on the 6th day. So the Rawak, and this just came to me while I was driving. When I look at the head of the man, I think the word understanding came to me today. The word understanding came to me today. So Rawak, the understanding that secures your protection. So when we start doing what the Most High tells us to do once again, and he puts his spirit over us, we've seen time and time again. And one of my favorite accounts when you see this is the three holy children, Ananias, Azariah, and Mishael. So those three, because they were faithful and they believed in the Most High's Torah instruction, he put his Rawak over them, and the fire didn't harm them. It didn't even harm their clothes, and they didn't even smell like smoke. So the HaKodash, did you want me to do that one too, or did you want me to just do the Rawak?
No, you can keep going up.
Okay, now the HaKodash, I'm just going to give you what I saw, what the Most High gave me. It says the separation to the path that has been paired to the spirit. So, because we know HaKodash is the set apart spirit. So when I put it all together today, the understanding that secures your protection to the separation of the path to be joined to, which is the Most High set apart spirit.
That's a great breakdown. So for those still learning, the Ha is just a prefix and it's equivalent to the pagans the, THE. So the ha is just a prefix for THE, the. The root is kadash or quadash or kadash. I'm not sure. I do what's best for me, but that glyph is the sun on its horizon and gives us the qua sound. But you know, we grew up in their Greco-Roman schools. Q can be pronounced as a K sometimes. So you hear some of us say kadash, and you hear someone say quadash. Tomato, we won't know until we hear the ancients. So ha kadash or ha quadash. And what he's breaking down is kadash is our word to be set apart. The pagans say holy. So that's those still learning. Ha kadash is the set apart or the holy. So Rawat HaKadash is what the pagans dub the Holy Spirit. Anybody else give me other breakdowns?
Yeah, the case.
Salakia Marat, really quick. Just because we over here in captivity and our brains have been rewired, it probably would help also just to, most of the time when we say Rawak Hakwadash, like when I was first coming into understanding the language, it would seem backwards to me, because when you say Rawak Hakwadash, you don't know that Hakwadash is really in English. It's almost like we're saying spirit set apart, spirit that's set apart, if that makes sense. So to help people understand, to make a little bit more sense, if you're still trying to get that Babylon out of you, Hakwadash Rawak. And that's kind of because my breakdown kind of sounds a little strange to, I can understand why it might sound a little strange, but I just wanted to say that.
Reason why I don't want to do it like that, and because I want you guys to eventually where you can read it from the Bible. And our ancestors, they write like this. It's not backwards. These pagans are backwards. These Greeks are backwards. That's why, Sister Joyce was next. That's why you learn Spanish. Spanish is like this. Spanish is like this because they were conquered by the Moors. The Moors were, some of the Moors were Arabs who are the Arabs? Hebrews. So when people hear Moor, all they think of is Arabs, but the Arabs are Hebrews. And then also our ancestors got caught up and was lumped in with the Moors. So you had Israelites who are Hebrews, and you had Arabs who are Hebrews who conquered Spain and taught them how to speak. And that's why Spanish put the subject last. The verb comes first, or the subject goes, you know what I'm trying to say. So that's why I want you guys to learn it like this, because you can read it out the book one day. So, but like he's saying, for me to get the breakdown, I go backwards sometimes, like the English taught us. It makes more sense if you go backwards sometimes. So great breakdown, and thank you for that. Sister Joyce, you had something?
I guess for the Ruach, would it be the child at the end versus the K, because then it would be a poem instead of the 10, right?
So is that where you was going out?
I had something else, but I knew that's what she was going.
Okay.
Yeah, I knew that's what she was going.
All so right. Would it be RAWACH and then drop the A, or would it be that? Because if it's that, then I guess even the tent wall, it would be the palm, correct? Or no?
So you be all right saying yours, you're gonna forget where you're going?
No, I ain't gonna forget.
Okay, so great question. So the question on the table is the tent wall. We're learning the tent wall. They're telling us the tent wall makes the CHA sound. And the CHA could be the church, like CH in church, or it could be the hard K sound. Now, this is the one character I haven't been able to really flesh out and find enough witnesses. That's why I tell you, do what's best for your speech pattern. So if I try to run that tent wall as the CH like church sound, it would be Rawach. So for me, that's very hard to speak. And then when you do dig it even more, you'll find out these lexicons have been developed by Germans A lot of the lexicons that we have, these German theologians have hijacked what our ancestors, the Moors and the Israelites left behind, and they've taken these lexicons and developed them. So that tent wall being the sound, to me, is like, is Yiddish influence. Because when you hear the Germans and these fish people speak, don't you hear all that hard K in that sound? So that tent wall is one of those characters I haven't been able to really pin down, is if it's the K sound or if it's the ch sound as in church. So what I suggest you do, whatever your tongue is going to allow you to do it. But then the next step, use both of the glyphs to see if it makes sense. And that's what we're about to do. So what I mean by that, throw in the palm of the hand and see if it makes sense with the context of the word. And that's when you could determine which one of the glyphs should be used. Because if we put the palm there, we could say, okay, the head of the man means first or prime order or chief, and the head of the man is being joined to the hand. Now, ka is a prefix for you sometimes. So that the palm of the hand, that sound ka is a prefix for you or your. So it could make sense. Our Ra, the head of the man, is the Most High. The tenth peg in the middle, the Wa, is joining something. So the Most High is joining to you. So if I put the palm there, it makes sense. But if I leave the tent wall there, it makes sense also, because the Most High, he's our head, and the Most High is our chief. He's adding our security, because your tent wall, your tent secures you. Those of us who was out tabernacle, you was inside a tent, and that was your security for the night. So the tent wall makes sense too. So this is why I love our culture, because it's so concrete. If y'all put the palm up there, it will make sense if you use the palm meaning you or your. The Most High is securing you, or the Most High is adding himself to you, the Rawak. And we got the text to say that he is a spirit. He is a consuming fire. So the palm of the hand fits too, but for this intents and purposes, the tent wall fits too, because that tent wall is your security. So Rawak, the Most High, Ra, our head is the Most High, and he adds security. That makes sense? And then Kadash, again, the man with his hands raised, give us the ha sound, is just that qua sound, that picture is the sun on the horizon. So the sun, it moves up and down, and it divides. It divides night from day. So to be set apart, we're divided. That's what set apart means. How you set apart when you're doing the same thing the world doing? So the qua means to be divided. The da, like Nariah was saying, the da, the 10th door, represents a path. So we're divided on a path that joins us to the Father. That's what set apart or Kadash means. So how can you be holy, Pastor, when everything you're doing coming from the Catholic Church? Everything we're doing, the best we understand, is coming from the Most High's word. So we're truly Kadash. We're divided or set apart on a path that's joining us to the Rawak. That makes sense? That makes sense? So that's just one of many ways to process Rawak, Hakadash. Nariah was right. And again, if y'all put the palm of the hand up there, you'll be right too, because the palm of the hand, the ka for the palm means you or your. Now, any questions before we move on? Sis? Oh yeah, I didn't forget about you. would say, I hate to give them credit, but you gotta give them credit when it's right, you know, that's something the church got right. Because we're made in his image. We're made in his image. You're supposed to be like your father. If your father says, I want an orange, we're supposed to be able to do that. So the spirit of the Most High breathed into Adam, and Adam became a living soul. And he was, before he sinned, he had the same capabilities of his father. He was just naming stuff, claiming stuff. He didn't have to start asking until he sinned. So the Holy Spirit, which is Father, which he is the Ruach, he's inside of us, and we have revelation when we breathe. When you say ha, and the word is getting cold now, that's your Father. They didn't know to put that, that's the Father in us. There was a YouTube video, I was like, wow. When I was learning Hebrew, this brother took a beating heart, and he had an image, I guess an X-ray image of a heart beating, and he made the heart beat to a rhythm. Yah, Yah, Yah. I was like, wow. It impacted me. He was like, everything about us, the Father was stamping us. The Father was stamping us, we just didn't know it. So yes, he's inside of us right now. He's inside of us right now.
But yes, peek back. Let me back. I'm ready to fight. Let me back off what she said. So what about sinners and people who are not like following the Most High? Does his spirit still dwell in them? Like, I guess the scripture, I don't know if this actually saying that, but abide in me as I abide in you. Is that saying like, if you aren't abiding in me, I ain't abiding in you, if you're not doing that?
So
does that make sense?
There was a verse Shamaria brought out in one of his classes that was powerful. I can't remember it, but it's pretty much, you have to yield your vessel to other spirits. That's why it's dangerous to go over people's houses. It's dangerous what you watch, because you're yielding your spirit to other spirits. Everything on the television and in the music has been produced by a spirit. When our elder John Yakana says, try every spirit, he wasn't saying try ghosts. He was saying try the spirit. She's telling you she's a sister, I'm gonna give her a chance. I'm gonna try her spirit and see if she's truly a sister. So we all are made the Most High Spirit in us, but because our parents didn't raise us in his Torah, our spirit has been yielded to other spirits. But it's still, I wish I could, Father, help us. All spirits belong to him. Even the fallen angels, they chose to rebel. Because there's angels or the messengers, there's different functions of messengers. Some messengers are just a robot. Most High gave their orders, and that's what they do. Other messengers or Malachi or angels, they high function, like Messiah, Gabriel, Michael, Michael, who's like Yah. They're high function. So they can choose not to listen to him, but you're going to pay the price of those other ones. So you have to yield your vessel to other spirits. That's why we protect our spirits when we're around. If that makes sense. I forgot what verse he pulled, but it was a verse that says that all spirits belong to the Father. If that makes sense. You had something up?
Yeah, Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 12, verse 1.
I think it was Wisdom of Solomon.
We was in that book a lot.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 12, verse 1, it says, for your incorruptible spirit is in all things.
Calm. Call that again, up.
Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 12, verse 1.
Yeah, that's a powerful verse.
We were just talking about that yesterday, me and Shamaria, in reference to spirits and guarding yourself, because like when you go into the building or you go into work and then you're feeling drained at the end of the day because you're dealing with so many spirits. So
that's why I be needing that prayer line. When I'm by myself, I still pray. Since you don't want to come back, you don't want to come back to that.
And that's so many things.
But don't hold on, that's
No, no,
not
not that,
what you
not
had
that.
before though.
Just a real quick comment to that is like I had to, sometimes I was like, man, I need to walk outside and pray real quick. Just to witness to what you're saying. Like sometimes I do that, like
It's heavy.
I done forgot. No, I got it. I just gotta walk outside. I'll just stand right there at the door, just look to the east, just pray real quick and walk back in.
There's there's someone with jewelry on, and their jewelry is the Baphomet. And I'm at the printer, and I happen to see him. I just stepped off. That's how serious we are right now. That's what everything we do is not for show. Everything we do, I don't want y'all to become religious and routine, but everything we do is necessary for our survival. Look, Shmoya, before you forget what you said, you had something for though.
Right. So the first thing I was going to say about the Rawak, I think the way the most Mara was trying to explain is that, I mean, it is the CHA, but I think you were putting the pronunciation on the screen.
Right.
So Rawak, so
Yeah.
people wouldn't get confused.
Right.
But the character was still the 10th wall. Go ahead, Ms. Jenny, real quick.
No, never mind. Go ahead. I got it here. I was going to ask you to go
And
back to screen. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay, so that part, I wanted to answer that. And then he kind of went through it to give some of it away now, but I was going to read what I wrote because I haven't really broken it down yet. And it will still take some time to hash it out. But when I was looking at it just in this short period of time for the Rawak, like he said, I would kind of go the backwards way. But we learned when we did that class for the Kakama or Chakama for wisdom being the spirit of wisdom relating being the Messiah. I'm sorry, just having a train of thought, but we learned that the Ka could be eternal as well. It can mean eternal. So I was writing down eternally protected or the eternal protection. So I wrote eternally protected and secured to or by the Most High, because the Most High would be represented by the chief, and then secured, that tent peg there is like when you secure your tent down into the ground. So it can mean join to, add to, secured by, and the security, obviously, or protection from the tent wall that it provides. But again, the tent wall can be eternally. And since the Most High Spirit is eternal, that's why I was like, yeah, maybe it's some truth to that, where this is an eternal spirit. And then the HaKodash, for some reason, it's just giving me a hint of something flowing in and out, because the spirit moves and flows. And then I didn't really think about dividing. I put the spirit that rises, but dividing, I feel like it definitely makes sense, because that's kind of what I was telling y'all for Chakama. That spirit of wisdom is divided into different functions. And just like this Holy Spirit is divided into different functions. Now let me try to prove that real quick.
Before you do that, just so no one gets lost, I know we got babes. And that's why I love this language. I know Spanish. I know a little bit of Greek now, but I don't know any other languages that you can do this with. The reason why that tent wall can be eternity, because inside your tent wall is your family. All of us right now, Elder has his wall right here. You see that? And inside Anthony is more of his wall. So now that Elder has a grandson, his wall would never stop. You know, so that's why you could run tent wall as eternal. You know, that's go ahead. I'm sorry.
You know, because everything that you're given forming you. So carrying her daughter, Jasmine and Mahogany, was also, you were carrying Margaret.
Now I got something to say though.
Her daughter,
I get it. Listen.
what do they call it again? I'm sorry. I can't. Her eggs are given to
Through the
Because it comes through the man.
yeah.
So we can't forget that. It's the man. It belongs to the man. So you guys are carriers, but you guys still belong.
Yeah.
Your fathers are here. Your fathers are here. So even though your eggs coming from you, it started with your father.
That's right.
It goes through you. So
Hallelujah.
your father starts your wall.
But just Miss Corinne, read that, they call it chet, but the ka up here, read what it says here, read all three. If you
New birth,
knew what,
Wow.
new birth.
what was you just saying?
That's those eggs. New life,
Knew what?
birth, new life, and eternity.
Eternity.
So then, like, and this is where I got,
I haven't read those boards in years.
right, well, see, that's what I'm saying, when I did the class, and this is what I was trying to explain to the new people, and I just know the last person was Miss Joy, but I was telling her, like, we don't know all the definitions of what these characters mean yet, we're still learning. But when I did that class, I was like, oh, I seen eternity online, but I was like, they don't know what they're talking about.
Right.
Then I seen it here, and then I started thinking about it. I was like, okay, well, oh, it's kind of making sense. And then even today, we just got more revelation where we're talking about the seed, the birth, and life. And it says right here, new birth, new life, and eternity. And one thing from before about the subject, you told me that. So when Naraya said the subject, he was saying like English, read it backwards. That's the part that I'm still learning. The subject comes before, I guess, well, I don't know what you call the thing after that.
The predicate.
The predicate. Okay, yeah. So you're saying the Holy Spirit, but you would say Spirit, Holy the.
Put the predicate first,
Right.
which is the subject before the verb. So the Greeks twist everything, but like you brought out a couple weeks ago, our people ain't dyslexic. It's that seed of the father. It's like, yeah, you're supposed to read it like that. But now because we're in Babylon, because of our disobedience, now I have to go against my natural instincts to get your grade to survive your system.
And like the Spanish people, you can tell sometimes when they speak, they say stuff backwards. I work with a Asian, Chinese, whatever, and sometimes she don't know the words. She can't find the words, and sometimes she'll say things backwards. You know, like we're doing. You know, we're forced to.
And we got resources. I don't know. I know Shalom. They want to say we want to make blacks invented everything, but we got resources that prove that Asia was populated by dark people. Asia was populated by dark people. So them Asians putting things backwards, that's the culture they was raised by our people. So it's just these Greeks, to the victor goes the spoil. You want an education, you want to be respected as a doctor, you got to learn their system. You got to speak. That's why I hear it on the videos. I know people like, man, he can't even speak. I hate your language. I did very well in your school. I'm trying to, you ain't speaking proper English. There is no proper English. The only thing proper about English is your muffins, and they ain't too tough. Our grandma biscuits kill your muffins. There's nothing proper about English. But now you over here think you somebody, and you say, he don't even know how to pronounce it. You don't know how to pronounce it. So that's this week's vocabulary, Rawak HaKadash. It's the set apart spirit. We're supposed, and then to double back to your question about the indwelling spirit, the Father, to use one of their terms, the Father is omnipresent. He's omnipotent. He's in all of us right now. All of us right now. So that's how powerful he is.
I wanted to help her with that.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. So the thing about the spirit being divided, it goes exactly what he was saying about the Most High being omnipresent and all powerful. But then an example of that is Isaiah 11, starting at the top.
Isaiah 11.
Right.
Come on.
Shema.
And this is in that class again, talking more about wisdom. I think if you have questions about the spirits and how it works, I think the Most High just helped bring a lot of that out in that class, you know. But it says, and there shall come forth a rod out of the stem of Jesse, and a branch shall grow out of his roots. We know that as,
Not a Torah.
and that stem is, I mean, that rod that grows out is Yahweh Shai. So then it says, and the spirit of Yahweh shall rest on him. And then it tells you the Most High Spirit, the spirit of wisdom, the spirit of understanding, the spirit of counsel, might, the spirit of knowledge, and of the fear of Yahweh.
Respect.
Right, respect, reverence of the Most High. So the Most High is the father of the spirits, but he can take his spirit and here's a little wisdom, here's understanding, here is, and because you said, does he put it on us when we need something? Basically, what is another thing you said. The answer to that is yes, because Marah got you to the beginning, to the root of when he breathed into Adam, placed his spirit in him. But now we know through this birth, sin separates you from the Most High Spirit, which is what he was explaining. So now you're disconnected because this word says you're added to him. But the breaking the Most High's covenant, you're going to be separated to him. And now you're led by the spirits, because we know that's possible because he said calls the other nations to follow other spirits. So, and an example of how the Most High is all powerful, you know, think like a big battery or something, just for the practical thought of it. And he's placed a little bit of himself in each and every one of us, but he could put more on you when it's time. So if someone needed to heal somebody, the Most High could put more of his power, because we ain't healing nobody. He's the one that's doing the healing, but we you to do it. So he got to put some more of his power on you so you can do it. If he need a man to destroy 1,000 people, like Samson, it says the glory of the Most High came upon him. That means the Most High said, here's some more power so you can go ahead and destroy this nation. So the answer to your question about that spirit is that we all have the Most High Spirit dwelling within us. We can access that spirit if we keep his commandments. And as we grow, or as he deems needed, he will give you more of his spirit so you can do other things.
Come on now. And that's an A flat, that's an A flat moment. Right.
Just to kind of let me back over to help identify Sister Corinne and Sister Joyce a little more, I wanted to read these just a few quick verses in 1 Samuel 8. 1 Samuel 8, because I think we really see that playing out very well regarding the Rawak, Aquadat, and the opposite end of the spectrum when it comes to that Yabala and Jubilees precept that Shawarma brought out a few months back, how the Most High orders other spirits to reign over the other nations, but he did not so with Yasha Olive. So I'm just going to read from 5 to 9.
1 Samuel 8, verse 5.
And it says, well, actually, I'm gonna start. It says, then all the elders of Yashar'Allah gathered themselves together and came to Samuel unto Ramah, and said unto him, behold, thou art old, and thy sons walk not in thy ways. Now, quick segue, correct me if I'm wrong. Was Samuel under the Nazarite vow? Or was that Samson?
Samson.
Okay, I just want to make sure. Okay, it says, now make us a king to judge us like all the nations.
That's why I said us calling me a king is disrespectful. I got it from here. But we're not kings in the Greco-Roman sense. We're Malak. Malak means we flow with authority that he gives us. So we're not kings like these pagan nations. we had Abba reigning over us, and we're supposed to move like he moved, you know?
Right, and that ties into what Mario was saying. Flow with the Most High's authority, that flow transfers. So he transfers that flow of authority to who he sees fit. That makes sense.
That's Malak. That's the three characters for Malak, which the pagan says means king.
Right.
It's greater than the king.
Right. Verse 6, but the thing displeased Samuel when they said, give us a king to judge us. And Samuel prayed unto Yah, and Yahweh said unto Samuel, hearken unto the voice of the and all that they say unto thee, for they have not rejected thee, but they have rejected thee. So Joyce, to your question, the Most High has grace because he put his incorruptible spirit in all things. But just like in the days of Noah, when that naughty generation rejected the Most High's love, just like our people here also rejected the Most High. So let's see what he says. That I should not reign over them according to all the works which they have done since the day that I brought them up out of Egypt, even unto this day, wherewith they have forsaken me and served other gods. So do they also unto thee. Now therefore, hearken unto their voice, albeit yet protest solemnly unto them,
Let them know.
and show them the manner of the king that shall reign over them.
We're going to give you a wicked king.
So,
Careful what you ask for.
right, so now we understand Shawwal was the, I guess, first fleshly king
First.
of Yasser Allah, and we went over the breakdown of Paul or Saul, Shawwal, and through the two front teeth, the securing and the authority. So Shawwal is like a two-sided thing, because the Shawwal king that came from the Benjamin, it was the separation from the security of that authority, which was separation from the Most High, because he was the wicked king. But you also see Shawwal in the quote-unquote New Testament, the parent to that security of the authority, because Yahushua visited Paul and said, why persecutest thou me? So you saw the Benjamin again, that parent again with Paul in the quote-unquote New Testament. But you saw,
Man,
so
that's powerful. That's powerful what he just said. Because the first Shawwal, pretty much, you got your whole tribe of Benjamin, you got your whole tribe killed and forced away from Yah. And then I'm going to bring up a new or younger Shawwal that's going to join you back to me. That's powerful. That's powerful. Wow.
So, you know, Joyce, ultimately, the most I put spirit in us, was who we've been talking about the whole time. But it's the wickedness in our heart that causes us, that leads to sin, to separate ourselves and reject the Most High. That's when he gives you over to Hasatan.
Sister Barb had a good comment too. She said the spirit encompasses all of the gifts. And that's absolutely right. That leads me into what we're going to get into today. That's why the church and some of the Hebrews, some of these Israelites, they can't separate the Son from the Father. They're making the Son is the Father. It's like, no, the Son is doing everything by his Father. He told you that. He told you I'm doing this by my Father, but because that Christian dogma is so heavy, we got Hebrews following commandments, but they still can't let go that the Son is not his Father. The Son is not greater than his Father. He told you out of his own mouth, if you accept the text, my Father is greater than all. So how the one you say that you're working for, that you're preaching, he said, if you accept the text in John, he said, my Father is greater than all, but you don't went to seminary or cemetery school. Now, no, he didn't know what he was talking about. He's really his Father, and he is the same as his Father. This Christian dogma makes no sense. That's what we're going to transition into today. How to win the loss. Any comments or questions before we move on? Actually, y'all, you got something out?
Oh, yes, yes. The water for that. Speaking of we've been talking about the spirit and how we can be moved by it or used by it, and it's Yah that does all his work with us through that spirit. It reminded me of Galatians 5:17 when it talks about the spirit and the flesh. And too, with the last example of both Shawals, king and the apostle. Galatians 5:17, it says, for the flesh lusteth against the spirit, and the spirit against the flesh. And these are contrary, meaning they oppose each other. It says contrary the one to the other, so that you cannot do the things that you would, or that you won't be able to do the things that you want to do. So when you see the contrast between the two Shawals, one was joined to the correct spirit, apostle, and then the king was separated from that spirit because they both had what they wanted to do. Paul wanted to do right, so the very thing that he wanted to do, he was able to do it. And the other one, the very thing that he wanted to do, he was able to do it. But also, if you break this down too, it's still saying what it says. It says, so that you cannot do the things that you would. So you can be, if you're walking by that good spirit, but you want to do bad, you won't be able to do bad because you're walking by that good spirit. If you want to do good, but you're walking by the flesh, you will not be able to do good because of how you're walking. And so therefore, that's when you interject what Paul brings out in Romans, giving you up to that disapproved mental state. He's going to give you up because you whatever it is that you actually want to do, he's going to give you up to it. And he wants us to be able to join to his correct spirit instead of being in the flesh and walking by that flesh and accomplishing whatever the flesh is. And we know the flesh is those other spirits. That's what our flesh can be controlled by instead of his.
We just gotta let this spirit flow. Let this flow. I see you, sis. Now, what actually y'all just added to it, going double back, let's double down on Nariah's 1 Samuel chapter 5, that they rejected me, that I may not reign over them. Now, Christian dogma is going to go to Romans and say, oh, when the Gentiles do things according to the law that they never received in the law, these things become a law unto them. And they teach that, see, it don't matter about being an Israelite because Gentiles do things naturally that's in the law. That makes no sense. Paul was telling them, you have it inside of you because you come from the righteous seed. That's why you're doing things, and it pricks you when your neighbor smoke all night and don't prick him. Paul wasn't telling them that these Gentiles are just like you Hebrews. He's telling these Gentiles, you are the seed of Jacob, and you have the spirit inside of you because our Father has reigned on our nation. That's why you can't do what you see these pagan Romans doing. That's why it's pricking you. That's why what I'm saying to you is making sense, because you have the spirit of the Father inside of you. He has not dealt so with any other nation. Praise ye the Most High. We're destroying Christian dogma every time we get together. Sis.
I'm not sure if I understood what the brother just said. Not why. Because it so something that they say in Christianity, once saved, always saved. Can you clarify what you said about, or reiterate what you said about when you have a spirit you can't do wrong? Did I hear that correctly? Help me to understand how that doesn't differ from what the Christians say about once saved, always saved? If that's correct.
Abshai, did you hear?
Yeah. So it's that isn't the same. I can see how you come to that thought, but it's not the same. Why? Because that what I read in Galatians, that's a spirit that's being talked about right now, that's inside of us, but we got to choose to continue to walk by it, because we can easily choose not to walk by it. So it's that because it says the spirit opposes the spirit and the flesh oppose each other. So when you want to walk by that flesh, that spirit is like, okay, cool, I'm gone. I'm out of here, because I don't have nothing to do with this flesh and the spirits that come with that. So that once saved, always saved, no, because I can still choose to do something that's contrary to what's good.
So that's like feeling convicted, like they used to say, convicted, if that spirit, that you're doing something wrong, the spirit, if you're in the ruach, you are doing what you're supposed to do, that spirit's going to rise up with that.
Yeah, and to support what he's saying, I see you, Shamaria. We got a verse from Paul Shawar that supports what Abshai is bringing out, because he says the spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. That supports what Galatians, who they say is written by Paul, that supports what he just brought out in Galatians 5. Your spirit that's coming from God is always willing to be disciplined. It's that flesh, that carnality that we inherited from Adam. It's like the cartoons, good devil, bad devil, and then the angel. Like our grandson, right now, he saw his pamper and laugh. Now, in a couple of months, when he's going around the table or going around the couch, we know, you understand that you shouldn't be soiling your pamper. That's what's everything in us, like our parents would say, I shouldn't tell you you need to shower, you should smell yourself first. Only our nation has that. Only our nation has that because we were given instructions. Our Father didn't give you no instructions. That's why this flow, I put on Facebook, Queen, so-called Queen, what's her name? Elizabeth. Yeah, she's no queen. You're a fraud. You were supposed to marry your brother to become queen, because your brother's going to be a king because he descends from a king. And for you to be queen, you got to marry your brother to keep your bloodlines pure. You didn't do that. You married a stranger. Now your husband is called the gentleman and you're called a queen. How does that work? If you're a queen, you're supposed to be married to a king. So your nation, y'all didn't get instructions not to marry your brother. So your nation, y'all kept your bloodlines pure, brother marrying sister, because y'all had no instructions. Us Israelites, aka Jews, we got instructions after a couple of generations. Okay, when the earth was scarce, okay, yeah, Cain and them took their sisters because there was no commandment not to, and there was no one else. There was no one. How you going to repopulate? You had to take your sister. But now we got now Adam's sons to spread out. Okay, now y'all done went way left. Let me give y'all some order. From this point forward, you are to marry your brother's seed, your cousins. So our nation, we're the only ones who got instructions from on high. So what he's saying is making sense. We have a spirit, an eternal spirit, ruach in us, telling us. Y'all know when y'all, even when we was in Christianity, you know you don't joke too much. You know you should be going home. You know you shouldn't be stealing. We had that in us. So what Abshai is bringing out is definitely a contrast to Christianity. It's like night and day. That makes sense. You have something?
Yeah. Just one short part, and then the other part, if you want to go through it, then we can. But the first part is about, well, I'm gonna just read it. It's John 8:47, because I almost forgot the point, but I know it goes with what we're saying. Tomorrow we have it.
Come on.
We didn't got to the meat yet.
I know. But I felt it when I came in here. I said it's gonna be one of those. It's gonna be one of those days.
I love the Masha Pop, man.
So verse 47, it says, "He that is of Elohim or Yahweh heareth Elohim's words. Ye therefore hear them not, because you are not of Elohim." So we were talking about the spirits and being led by the spirit, and are we saved eternally, or so you mean we can just do what we want to do and all of those different things. But when we're bringing out the understanding of keeping the Most High's words, His commandments, laws, and statutes, and we in here in this room, we hear it, that means we are of Him. But the ones that's not hearing it and hearkening to it, it's because they don't belong to the Most High. Thank you, Most High, for providing me with this thought that I wanted to say. That's the role of the Messiah, the bread of heaven. And I'm not going because I know new people, but his role as the Lakam, as the shepherd, is to do the division within the division, meaning that we all was given the Spirit in the beginning. Then there was a separation of choosing one nation, 12 tribes. Then within the 12 tribes, he got to choose Abijah's hearing the word of the Most High because I chose him and he's one of his. Miss Corinne, I chose her, she's one of his. So the Messiah is the one, that's why he said, I'm gonna come talk to you. He's doing the division within the division. He's the shepherd that passed us. We lost. He gotta come back and get us. Hey y'all, I'm here. We gotta go pass under the rod again, the law. He's the one that's going to do that. So he's calling us now spiritually because we are of what the Most High wants.
And this John 8:47, I see it in the rod. This John 8:47 brings us full circle back into what we're going to transition into, back what Gina said during her praise report. John 8:47 saying, those who belong to Abba hear his voice. And those who don't belong to Abba, you don't hear his voice. Like Gina was saying, trying to witness to our people, we have to do it with love and tact, but it just very well may be, bro, sis, auntie, big mama, for some reason, you don't belong to the Most High, even though we come from the same stock. Because you can't tell me I'm giving you unbiased witnesses, not my word, like Chef said, not my words. I'm copying and pasting scriptures, and you're rebutting with things that man has given you. The son is the father. What family on earth, the son is the dad too? Was this a stage play? This scene, you play dad, and next scene you play the son? Well, what family is this? Ryan?
Just to be brief, to kind of help, because some people might get caught up with verse 18 of Galatians 5. But I just wanted to, I think it becomes full circle. I'm gonna just read that verse and then go back to Wisdom of Solomon to give more clarity on what that means. Verse 18 of Galatians 5 said, but if ye be led of the Spirit, ye are not under the law. So when we were Christians, our understanding was that's a free path, be able to do what you want to do and still stand. Because we thought that the sin no longer applied to us.
Right.
Afraid that
Right,
faith crusade started, I guess.
right.
But Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 15. I'm gonna just read verses 1 through 5. I'm gonna try to be brief, but I don't shortchange the Most High authority. Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 15, verses 1 through 5 says, but you, O Elohim, are gracious and true, long-suffering, and in mercy, ordering all things. For if we sin, we are thine, knowing thy power. But we will not sin, knowing that we are counted thine. For to know you is perfect righteousness, lawful. Yea, to know your power is the root of immortality. For neither did the mischievous invention of men deceive us, nor an image spotted with diverse colors, the painter's fruitless labor, the sight whereof entices fools to lust after it, and so they desire the form of a dead image that hath no breath. So when, just to give like newer people that might watch this at another time, Galatians 5 verse 18 saying, but if you be led by the Spirit, you are not under the law. what that is saying to make it practical, because we're practical people. Imagine yourself on a highway. Speed limit is 50 miles an hour. And it says you are not under the law. That means you are keeping the law. So if the speed limit is 50 miles an hour, you're going 47.
Don't apply to you.
It doesn't apply to you. You're not under the judgment of the law. Now, if you're going 75 in the 50 and the cop pulls you over, don't look at him and say, I'm supposed to be free because I got grace.
Right.
He's going to punish you and reprimand you. Same thing here.
Again, this is a great precept. We're gonna get into the theology of Christian dogma after we go through their books or our records that they for daughter read it. But it's a quick read. We can't always separate the theology from the books. But this is one of the great verses that I hear the apologists saying. You are not under the law if you're under the Spirit. So, okay, but all the blessings you're claiming that you have were given under the law if you obey his instructions.
Oh, man.
So, Pastor, how you want to claim the blessings Abba told you get, but you don't want the curses that he said you get if you break the law? The blessings you're claiming came from the law. So now you're going to erase the law, but you got some invisible blessings? Your doctrine makes no sense. But thanks to my queen, with love and tact, I try not to get Busta Rhymes. But today I'm going to show you with a live example. We're going to do a live case study today so you guys can at least understand why I get passionate when you see me go Busta Rhymes, because these people think they have the truth and you are lost. So Galatians 5:18 is one of their staples to say why we don't have to follow the law. And the analogy I use, the most Salakia. The analogy the Most High gave me a couple years ago when I was doing a study on the law. Right now, all of us are in here gathering, having a good time. Those online, Facebook or Zoom, y'all on this virtual platform with us. You're not under arrest right now. Are you free to kill? Are you free to steal? Because you're not under arrest? That's how crazy they sound saying that I'm not under the law. So we're gonna keep chopping away at Christian dogma and their theology. We're just trying to go into a sequence.